Archie Boston and the Black Lives Matter movement. Black America then and now shown through graphic work. Presented by Kate Brodowska. Archie Boston was born in 1943 in Clewiston, Florida, to a sugarcane sharecropper father, a stay-at-home mother and 5 siblings. The family soon moved to St. Petersburg, Florida, where Boston grew up. What did Archie Boston's formative years look like? What was it like for Black Americans in the 50s and 60s? To give it some context, here are some of the events from that time. In 1954, the US Supreme Court delivered a unanimous verdict in Brown versus the Board of Education to end segregation in public schools. In August of 1955, a 14-year-old boy from Chicago named Emmett Till was brutally murdered in Mississippi after having recently moved there. His crime? He allegedly whistled at a white woman, hence violating the codes of the Jim Crow South. In December of that same year, Rosa Parks made a statement by not giving up her bus seat to a white man. This led to Supreme Court rulings, making segregation illegal on city buses. 1960 saw the sit-in movement, which spread quickly throughout the South and into the North. In 1963, Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act was passed, and in 1965, Malcolm X was shot to death. And the slow progression of black rights continued, and continues still, albeit at a snail's pace. Growing up black during these times should have influenced a person enough to discourage them from even attempting to take on the challenges of advancement, especially in the pursuit of art. But Boston's work was so good that in 1961 he was accepted into Cal Arts. Subsequently, Archie Boston worked with his brother Brad running their business, Boston & Boston Design. You can see how events that shaped Archie Boston's early life reflect heavily in his work. Not much has changed since. Our system remains broken. On the surface, many changes are taking place, such as the removal of Aunt Jemima's image from the pancake syrup brand. Many companies followed suit. Television advertising has become more inclusive, but whilst everyone looks to be doing their part, the fundamental difficulties that affect black lives run deep and seem deep-rooted in our society. Let's compare some graphic work which has come out of the BLM movement against those of Archie Boston's work. Boston's work is gritty, emotion-provoking, and continues to be relevant. But above all, the work is authentic, as the artist is sharing an experience which is personal to him and shared by so many black people. The recent BLM movement sparked by George Floyd's death produced slogans and portraits of images which no American will soon forget. However, as important as the movement is, and no matter how moving the content, the authenticity aspect is not present. Most, if not all, the designs you will see here have been produced and monetized by white people. It's great that there's a universal understanding between white and black people over the death of George Floyd. But making money which doesn't go back in some way to improve the lives of black Americans is just not right. That's just not responsible design. In Archie Boston's time, Americans were a lot more polarized, especially around the issues of integration versus segregation. At the time, his work must have been shocking. Here was a person displaying a black-only experience for all to see and be judged by. Today's audience is completely immersed in images such as these and the designs that go along with them. Archie Boston's designs are more appropriate today, perhaps because, for the first time, people's eyes and minds are opening. His 1991 poster, "We've Come Too Far," for the New York Poster Exhibition, sums up my point. Changes in fashion, advancement in technology, and other rhythmic trends happen drastically, as illustrated by the fonts Boston used, but real changes are more sporadic. When they do occur, they must be seized upon and expanded to bring about real improvements. Archie Boston tried to do this through art, language, and education. Recently, Boston has become an activist for the Black Lives Matter movement, producing work aiming to fix fundamental issues plaguing black people. Interestingly, some of this work identifies problems that only black people can address. Boston is also a co-creator, along with his brother David, of the documentary Little Coloured Rascals in Sunshine City. The documentary chronicles the history of African American struggles and successes in St. Petersburg, Florida. This 1-hour special aired on PBS and Channel 3 in Tampa during Black History Month 2018. Today, Archie Boston continues to open the eyes and minds of people of differing ethnicities. Change is slow, but designers such as Boston will be the ones to help accelerate that change.